Kingdom Come Deliverance released in February of this year for the Xbox and the PlayStation consoles, along with a PC version through Steam. This is a direct sequel to 2018's game, and it continues the story of Henry of Skalitz, and currently retails for $70 US. I played it on the Xbox Series X, and it took me over 60 hours to complete the main storyline and some of the side content. So, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 worth playing on console? This review is going to answer that question. But before I do, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Take cover!
Let's start with the technicals of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The game is janky, which won't surprise anyone who's played the first game in the series. It's the sort of jank you would expect from an open-world Bethesda game, with things like stuttering frame rates, texture pop-ins, AI issues, character models floating in the air, etc. The first game was similar, and even after a lot of patches, it still has its issues. In the 4 months since release, and as the writing of this review, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has been patched a number of times, but I don't think you can completely iron out all the bugs here. It's sort of baked into it at this point. You'll have dumb AI, stealth that's hit and miss, people getting in your way all the time, bodies appearing out of nowhere or floating into the air. If that is the sort of thing that you hate, then this game isn't for you. Sure, it's immersion breaking, especially when you're at a critical scene and things in the game world go to hell, but you just have to accept it and move on. That's kind of strange to say since they give so much grief to other games and developers for their technical problems. I think it's easier to forgive Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because of how ambitious it is. Moving on to the graphics, there is a performance mode and a quality mode available. Picking the performance mode is what you're going to want because of the higher FPS, especially when things start getting hectic on screen. I appreciated that performance mode didn't wash out or blur everything in order to maintain the frame rate. Instead, it just reduced the amount of grass and affected the lighting a bit. Overall, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a beautiful game, with detailed characters and environments, with an art style that attempts to remain true to history, although they do take a lot of liberties with some of the clothing and armor styles, things like that. I don't think anyone is going to complain about the looks of this game.
God help me, my bodyguard's a monk who can't speak Latin!
Sir! Trotsky!
I personally believe that the story of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is the best part about it. I love the first game despite its gameplay and technical issues, and I found myself enjoying the sequel just as much, if not more, than the first one. It carries on the story of Henry directly from the first game. I won't spoil things here in this review, and I won't be recapping the first game, but I loved how this game is just a continuation of the first. You should play the first game in order to understand what's going on, but newcomers to the series can also pick up what's happening pretty quick. The game is set in Bohemia in 1403 during what is essentially a civil war. The rightful king is imprisoned and his brother Sigismund has invaded. Henry is working with a group that remains true to the rightful king against the invaders. You're tasked with accompanying Hans Capon, deliver a message to parley with the other side. Obviously, things go to hell and your adventure with Henry will take you anywhere from 50 to 100 hours to resolve. I could go into plot points and how well crafted the story is, but the best thing about the narrative is the characters themselves. You meet a lot of people during your time in Bohemia, and each one of them is unique and well crafted. They have their own personalities that shine through, they have their flaws and their strengths. Each serves a purpose in the story, and by the end of the game, you can remember who they were, what they did, and what's driving them. That seems like a simple thing to praise, but it's often overlooked in video games. So often we get these one-dimensional characters that are just there to provide exposition or act as a quest giver. Here we have people who are just like real. The story itself will take you through 2 different maps, and it comes up with a plausible way to strip you of your equipment and skills that you earned from the first game. But don't worry, Henry isn't starting from scratch this time. He remembers how to read, for example. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is definitely like a part 2 of the story rather than a direct sequel. It's like you took one game and split it into 2 parts, with one half releasing in 2018 and the other this year. It's an incredible story, and I think everyone should play both games just to experience it for yourself.
I ask you before God and His holy church to make your holy vow of matrimony, love, honor, and fidelity. Do you so swear until death do you part?
I do.
I do.
Unfortunately, if the story is the high, then the gameplay will be the low for a lot of players. As I said in the technical section, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is janky, and that extends to every aspect of the gameplay. Starting with the UI, it's a bit clunky. It can take a while to equip items, and the game doesn't do a really good job of telling you if a weapon or a piece of equipment is just better than what you already have. Sure, there's some stats at the bottom that go up and down, but if something's worn and needs repair, it's hard to know if it's actually better than what you have unless you repair it and see for yourself. Then there's swapping items. You can't do it in battle, so no pausing and taking a potion or switching out a weapon or piece of armor. That means if you accidentally get into a fight that you aren't ready for, say if you stripped off your armor to move more silently, and then you get stuck like that until the battle is over. It adds to the realism for sure, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 doesn't strike that balance of realism versus convenience very well. Sure, this is an improvement over the first game, but there's still a lot of choices that make things difficult just to keep things grounded. Take saving, for example. It only happens when you sleep in your own bed, hit a story beat, or use an item to save. These items are eventually easy to find, and you can also craft them, but they're limited. That means there's a lot of times, especially in the early game, when you're at your weakest, you're not familiar with the game's mechanics, your armor sucks, you don't have items to save your game, you're going to be replaying chunks of it over and over again. Then there's the leveling system itself. Kingdom Come games require you to practice. If you want to be good with a sword, you need to train with it. You need to seek people out and train with them, have them teach you moves and tricks, and then whack them with a practice sword for hours on end until your stats improve. If you try to mainline the story without training, then Henry is not going to be able to do the things you want him to do. There are so many moments in the story when you think you're doing just fine, and then you get involved in a fight that makes you realize you just didn't spend enough time grinding your sword play. One of these is a one-on-one duel that can be incredibly easy if you're prepared for it, but nearly impossible if you didn't practice your sword play or upgrade your equipment enough. This isn't a typical RPG, this is like a real-life simulator. If you want to be good at something, you have to put the time into it.
By the way, since you're here, how about stretching our limbs a bit after that long journey? With a bit of swordplay?
You're in the mood for that after riding so long?
Certainly. So then, eh? Eh?
All right then. Just a bit of swordplay for the hell of it? Or shall we have a wager?
Let's save the wagers for later.
Oh, you afraid?
Keep the biting remarks to yourself. You've got armor on, so just grab your helmet. Here's a practice sword for you. Have that ready too.
Speaking of swordplay, let's talk about the combat. It's terrible. This is part of the game that a lot of people will agree is an improvement over the first game, but it still has a long way to go. Kingdom Come Deliverance games use this lock-on feature that is great for one-on-one duels, since you can change the direction of your weapon, you can block attacks, you can counter. It works well, and it's designed for this. Once you get good at it and train Henry with his sword and learn how to counter attacks, you're nearly unstoppable. But that is until the game throws multiple enemies at you. The game even warns you to not fight multiple people because it's hard, but then it proceeds to throw mobs at you in the story. The lock-on system that's so great with one-on-one combat can't switch fast enough to block multiple attacks. The camera that lets you see your opponent no matter how you move can't focus on multiple people moving in on the sides and behind you. That means that as soon as you fight 2 or more people, chances are you're going to lose. You can't keep up with it, and the only suggestion the game's tutorial has is to back away and keep them lined up. You might think you're the best fighter in the world and feel great, but then even 2 peasants who are fighting you barehanded can take you down for the majority of this game. Each time you take damage, your overall stamina is reduced as well as your health. And even at 100%, you never have enough stamina to swing your sword more than a couple of times. It makes fights very hard and a slog, and the only thing that decreases and really makes it easy is the Master Strike. It's something you learn from a trainer at the start of the game, and it's optional, but in my opinion, it's mandatory and game-breaking. Each time your opponents swing at you, you can counter and hit them back. By the end of the game, I was fighting hordes of enemies and killing them in one hit. That difficulty scale that was so hard at the beginning dropped off after I reached level 25 or so and my stats were really high. It's strange that Kingdom Come Deliverance's difficulty is inverse of other games. The beginning here is super hard because Henry sucks, while at the end, everything's easy because Henry is skilled and well equipped. It also means that a lot of people who hate the combat are going to be turned off at the start of the game without giving it a chance to improve, which it kinda does, but it never becomes fantastic. Then there's the inclusion of crossbows and regular bows, which are useless. Even when they're covered in poison, they aren't great. They're hard to aim, and even when you're really skilled, the arrows almost seem to pass through people when they should hit them. So my advice is get a sword, ignore everything else, just train with it, pick up Master Strike, and never fight groups unless you have to.
Open the gate! The Lord Burgoff's emissaries!
Alright, let's go into the pros and cons of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. For the pros, the story is amazing, the main story quests are well paced, with memorable characters and big moments. The side content's good as well, although there's some early side quests that can be just traveling back and forth between two locations. The voice acting is good, the graphics of the landscape and the character models are fantastic, and the frame rate stayed pretty steady on console without sacrificing too much of the detail. The world is so detailed, with things happening all around you. You can steal something and people will catch on, you wear stolen items and people will call you out for it. It feels really lived in. But for the cons, the combat's still not great. Even when you put your time into learning how to do it, and training with your weapons and learning techniques, it's still not great. The AI can be brain dead, they catch you in stealth when they shouldn't, and they will sometimes just line up to fight you one at a time, or just rush you all at once in a group. The game is really buggy, even after multiple patches. And that's it for another review. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is absolutely worth playing on console, even at the full price. It took me over 60 hours to beat the main story, and there were still a lot of things that I hadn't done yet. If you don't mind the bugs and glitches, which I don't think will ever completely be removed, I would recommend checking this game out. I'm the Casual Console Gamer on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next review.